Do you ever feel like you and your international players are on completely different wavelengths? Welcome back to Translation Timeout. Today we're going to talk about navigating cultural differences. There's a link in the description to a handout you can use to reflect on some awkward situations you may have with players. And if you have questions at any time, please leave a comment below or email me at translationtimeout@gmail.com. So I've talked a lot in this channel about how important it is for us to help our international players integrate into our culture. But in order to have mutual connection and understanding, it's just as important for us to understand their culture. In my years of teaching English and working for international companies, I've worked with people across 6 continents and had my share of frustrations, embarrassments, and misunderstandings with all those personalities. But I've also learned a lot about other cultures along the way, and of course there are jerks and unique personalities everywhere you go. But I've noticed a lot of patterns emerge that have helped me reframe how I interpret people's intentions. And I think we'd all get along better if we just took that time to walk in someone else's shoes for a bit. So in this video, I want to share some complaints that I've heard over the years about my students, my coworkers, athletes that I've worked with, and maybe you've experienced these frustrations as well. And I want to reframe them as maybe just a misunderstanding of language and culture. The first one is they're rude because they don't say please or thank you. Believe it or not, some languages just don't have an equivalent for these words. So while it might feel like they're commanding you around without gratitude, they might just be using the patterns they're familiar with from their first language. There is an official term for it. It's called L1 interference, where L1 is a person's native language. In the case of your players, it would basically mean they're applying rules of their native language when speaking English because they haven't mastered how English works yet. It's a very common and natural issue in language learning, but it can make for some awkward moments if you don't understand that that's what's happening. Another concern I hear is that they're way too blunt or they always talk in circles. In my experience, both of these are well-intentioned. On the one hand, you have cultures that value honesty and saying exactly what you mean, because being direct is not considered rude, it's considered helpful. On the other hand, you have cultures that value politeness and peace, and they will probably never say exactly what they mean if it's negative because they don't want to embarrass you. These can be really hard habits to change, but they're easier to forgive when you know that someone is coming from a good place. And then there's this one. They talk way too much and they're always in my personal space. Or they're way too serious and they never smile. Well, I've traveled to a lot of different places around the world, and in some countries I've been told I need to loosen up, and in others I'm told that my big dumb American smile ruined the picture. We just have to accept that different cultures have different norms, and it's hard to immediately adapt to new norms when you're overwhelmed by a ton of other changes going on. Okay, so what you thought was a personality issue is really maybe just a cultural difference. So what do you do now? Well, like it or not, everyone who works for a team is a role model. So we should be looking at these as opportunities for education, not discrimination. What do most people want to do when they move to a new place? They want to fit in. And if they don't know what works in their new environment, they're going to do the same things that help them fit in their old one, until somebody corrects them and tells them what they should be doing instead. So instead of assuming your player is a jerk, try to help them. Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but here it's considered polite to say please when you ask someone for help. Or hey, I noticed that in practice, you told this person that they did a bad job on that play. What did you mean by that? Give them a chance to explain and give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know they were being offensive. They'll probably really appreciate that you told them so that they don't keep making the same mistake over and over again. And if they're not receptive, then okay, maybe they are a jerk, but most of the time, it's just a cultural misunderstanding, and addressing it head on will help your team communicate and work better together. When you have a diverse team, you may find your players have different communication styles that clash with your norms. If behavior is escalating or causing drama, make the effort to talk it out with them and figure out where it's coming from. Most likely, they're still adjusting to their new environment and don't mean any harm. Be patient and help them whenever you can. The more in tune your players are with each other, the better they'll work together. In the description, there's a link to a reflection about handling cultural differences on your team. Think about some of the misunderstandings you've had and how you might be able to support your players during their transition to their new country. Reach out if you have any questions, and stay tuned for my next video where I'll talk about my favorite ways to incorporate your players' native languages into social media. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.